Wangxian Valley is located in Wangxian Township, Shangrao City, Jiangxi Province. It is a national A4-level tourist attraction integrating Gan folk customs, landscape culture, local agriculture, delicious food, leisure and vacation, and parent-child research. The scenic spot takes mountains, water, valleys, villages, temples, forests and fields as the resource base, and is based on the local culture that has gradually drifted away. The natural landscape and historical culture complement each other. Wangxian originated from the Eastern Han Dynasty and began in the Three Kingdoms. It has jurisdiction over 93 square kilometers, with canyons, giant peaks, giant rocks, waterfalls, high mountains and clear streams, and picturesque landscapes. Ancient villages, farming, blessing, Buddhism, folk customs, and history and culture are outstanding. Lingshan's natural landscape and human landscape are integrated. There is a legend of Hu Zhu's ascension to the immortal palace in ancient times. Hu Zhao, courtesy name Kong Ming, was a hermit and calligrapher during the Three Kingdoms period. During the Eastern Han Dynasty, he refused Cao Cao's solicitation and took his wife across the river to the south. After he came here and settled his family, he lived in seclusion in the mountains by himself, diligently studying Taoism, collecting medicines and singing songs during the day, and meditating at night. In order to pray for the reunion of his relatives, his son built Wangxian at the foot of the mountain to observe his father's recent situation. Seeing fireworks in the early morning and lights at night means that my father, Hu Zhao, is indeed safe. In the first year of Wu Tai's reign in the Three Kingdoms, AD 251, Hu Zhao died without illness. The villagers said that Zhao had attained Taoism and became an immortal, and built an ancestral statue to worship him. After the death of Zhao Xian, he was repeatedly conferred by the emperor, which was deeply influenced. He was the ancestor of Lingshan Taoism, and this place was also named Wangxian. Legend has it that the evil dragon spirit wanted to be the dragon king in Jiangxi, but his ambition was broken by the master of Lingshan Shixian and fled, and secretly dropped 9 grains of cinnabar. Cinnabar cultivated into buffalo essence, and tried to make waves under the orders of evil dragon spirit. Just happened to be noticed by Jiang Daoren, who was cultivating in Huashan, so he rushed back and surrendered Jioniu. The buffalo essence became 9 boulders scattered on the hillsides, roadsides and river valleys, so later generations called this place Jiuniu Canyon. When Lu Bowen visited Lingshan Mountain and went to Sangkugwo in Jiuniu Grand Canyon, he saw that the cliff could not move forward, so he chiseled the treasure-hunting language of Rizhao Guanyin silver gold on the cliff. On a small mountain peak in the south of Jiuniu Grand Canyon, there is a stone peak that looks like Guanyin, with a peaceful demeanor and kind eyes. The locals call it Lingshan Guanyin. At sunrise in the early morning, the sun's rays hit Shirin, and there is an obvious projection point on the half-mountain of the dome peak across the river. After repeated reasoning, there is Lu Bowen's treasure point. Auspicious clouds dance in the wind, birds play in the sky, trickling streams everywhere, secluded springs and waterfalls, strange peaks and rocks. The bamboo forests in the mountains are lush, and the wild chrysanthemums under the forests are in full bloom, like a light ink landscape painting. Due to the geological tectonic movement, the fault blocks protruded and the mountain body rose sharply, causing the rock to be gravitationally unstable, caving and collapsing along the steeply sloping fracture joint surface, and going through the vicissitudes of life, forming many today's sky-splitting, deep valleys and canyons. Spectacle. Heaven and earth change. After wind and rain carving, heaven and earth run in. Under the traction of the waterfall, the rapids continuously scour and grind the stones to form 3 wonders of potholes, which are called 3 pots by the locals. Bitten is deep and bottomless, and there is a folk legend that 3 or 2 flower lines can't be beaten to the end. Wangxian is beautiful, the rain is abundant, the water volume is sufficient, there are trickles everywhere, secluded springs and waterfalls. In the mountains and valleys, the sound of murmuring is often heard. Cliffs and cliffs, sometimes hanging waterfalls. Whether it is a spring, a giant waterfall, or a stream, it is as clear as a mirror and the color is as jade, forming a unique landscape. People stand under the waterfall, and the water rushes down like a dream. The water splashed randomly in the air, scattered as rain in the mountains, and if you were not careful, you might get wet. Wherever you go, there are beautiful sights. The Ziking River originating from the Gaonan Peak and the Fangsuan River originating from the West Peak converge here. The water in the canyon goes from top to bottom. The high and low, long and short stone steps produce different forms, different water volumes, and different water sounds. Different stacked water landscape. The water level is orderly, and it flows into the pools at all levels layer by layer, forming a ladder shape, which just forms the scene of stacking water to welcome guests. Sanglong is located on the Canyon Plank Road. It is about 11.3 meters high. It is upright and shaped like the head of a dragon. It is a giant weathered granite block. The huge boulder standing in front of it is about 5 meters in diameter, like a dragon ball spit out by a dragon, so people call this place Sanglong Playing Pearl. The naive golden toad is entrenched on the top of the mountain. For thousands of years, the wind and clouds have been surging, and the lightning and thunder can't move it. There is a golden toad in the family, and the wealth is endless. After being taken over by Lu Dongbin's disciples, the golden toad began to benefit the world and distribute money, and was called a lucky toad. Below the stone statue of Jinshan is a golden mountain that Jinshan gave everyone. The high-altitude plank road built on the cliff has a total length of 388 meters and a width of 1.5 meters, of which the glass plank road is 1 meter wide and 50 meters long. The vertical height of the plank road is nearly 100 meters, and there is a cliff torrent underneath, and there is a thrill of standing in the sky when walking on it. Standing on the cliff, overlooking the canyon, overlooking the rolling hills, watching the green fields rush, a panoramic view. The indifferent breath of life, the slow pace of life, and the strong taste of humanity, the charm of the countryside is fully released. Strolling among the crisscrossed alleys, looking at the old farmhouses, layer upon layer of carved arches, quietly appreciating and reading carefully seems to be a journey through time and space. The wonderful time in the ancient town is to enjoy the flowers in the early spring, the fireflies in the summer, the mountains in the autumn, and the snow in the winter. Moreover, the unique charm of the town and the pleasant food in the street will make people gain an experience that is hard to find anywhere else. Legend has it that in the Great Flood in ancient times, the white crane brought wild fruits to rescue the villagers trapped on the cliff, and it was named White Crane Cliff. After Hu Zhao of the Eastern Han Dynasty became an immortal here, many Taoist alchemists from all dynasties came here to practice cultivation. The vertical height of Baihe Cliff is more than 110 meters. In order to restore the grandeur of the old days, there are 12 suspended glass guest rooms, cliff library, cliff restaurant and high-altitude viewing platform built on Baihe Cliff today, overlooking the entire valley and Lingshan Longji. Baihe village is a bird's nest that is independent of the cliffs and cliffs. It looks like its city in the sky. It is adjacent to the mountains and the stars and the moon. It is located at the top of Yuanshan Peak in Wangxian Township. Before the Ming Dynasty, it was Yuanshan Nunnery, and the era of its establishment is unknown. In the 12th year of Wanli in the Ming Dynasty, 1584, the monk Ruluan of Fuliang traveled here. He saw that the peaks were as round as a cup, the scenery was beautiful, and there were paddy fields and dry land of more than 10 acres. In the 11th year of Emperor Kangxi of the Qing Dynasty, 1672, Tianqing Temple was expanded again, and it was renamed Tianqing Temple because of the temple forehead of the Emperor Kangxi's Tianqing Zen forest. The reconstructed Tianqing Temple is extremely prosperous, with many monks and an endless stream of worshippers. He once set up a school of classics, with more than 20 teachers and students, specializing in the study and teaching of Buddhism. In 1930, the temple was destroyed by Bingxian, and only the plaques of Tianqing Zen Forest and Relic Hall remain. In 1949, a small courtyard was rebuilt, and in 1986, the Daxiang Hall was rebuilt to enshrine Buddhas such as Tathagata, and it was managed by lay Buddhists living in the temple.